Thank you so much for attending my PowerPoint presentation on Io, a hero for Pookie Wookie Honeyboo princesses. Io is a ranged universal support hero whose most iconic feature is his insane healing output. Dota doesn't have a whole lot of dedicated healers, but if you want to replicate the gameplay of Medic TF2 or Mercy Overwatch, this ball of nothing is going to be your best bet. This is mostly due to Tether, which indefinitely connects Io to a teammate and gives them a copy of his own regen. It also gives some movement speed, which lets your gyrocopter run away from an ancient stack even faster before the prowlers get him. In a pinch, you can use Overcharge, which is a temporary buff that grants both heroes percentage-based HP regen. It also grants a couple of buffs depending on which facet you picked, but we'll talk about that one later. Now, if your carry player refuses to show up to fights, Io can use his ultimate to make him fight against his will. After a brief delay, Relocate will transport Io and his partner anywhere on the map, giving him a global gank presence. If he's currently single, Io will teleport by himself, and he can then tether to whoever he wants and even bring them back at the end of the countdown. It's a very flashy save tool, and if done properly, you will die with style and guarantee at least one commend at the end of the match. Last is Spirits, which doesn't really have anything to do with the rest of his kit, but it's still pretty useful. It summons a ring of magic nukes that orbit around Io, tickling non-hero units and exploding on players. It can be used to farm, but the best use of it is to suss out enemy heroes while they attempt to juke through the woods. If used properly, Spirits can turn this cute little ball of nothing into the fucking Wendigo. It also enables Core Io, but we'll talk about that another day. He has two facets, both of which affect Overcharge and are named in reference to the greatest multiplayer game of all time. I will not argue with you about that. Kritzkrieg is the offensive one, and it grants attack speed and spell amp to your tether target. Metagun is defensive and grants armor and magic resist. Metagun has a massively higher win rate, but nobody picks it because Kritzkrieg makes number go up. All of this combined makes Io the supportest support of them all. He's entirely dedicated to bringing out the best of whichever hero he's attached to, and this unique gameplay has given him a reputation as a difficult character, much better in 5 stacks and captain's mode than in solo queue. Still, there is a dedicated army of Io spammers out there, and I salute you all. You are the strongest Dota players in the entire world. As for his lore, Io is one of the 4 fundamentals, along with CK, Caudal, and Enigma. He's the avatar of electromagnetism. I don't know what that is, and I don't know why it makes him good at servicing his bros for 45 minutes at a time. But since I'm a carry player, I'm not going to argue. Now, before teaching you how to play this guy, I first want to address the concept that he is a difficult character to play. Much like most heroes' ambiguous sexualities, it's hard to give a straight answer. If you want a yes or a no, then yes, Io is difficult, but he's really only hard in the context of Dota's other heroes. All of his abilities are easy to understand for anyone who has played any video game. Strip away Spirits and Io is really just a healer with Relocate. That's it. The problems come from Dota's inherent complexity and game length. Since you're constantly in control of your own movement, you have to predict or communicate with your partner to keep on pace with them and help them with whatever they want to do at all times. You also have to keep your eyes on the map and watch for relocate opportunities, which can make or break games depending on not only if you do them, but how well you communicate with your team about what's going to happen ahead of time. Those are skills that are really only tested on Io, and while general map awareness is important on all heroes, the only analog I can think of in terms of brain power is when an invoker is trying to land a sick nasty sunstrike, and unlike him, you're a squishy little bitch the whole game. If you pop a Ritalin before queuing up, you will instantly become a better Io player, as the focus will allow you to get one more right click in on and a Wild Wing Ripper without accidentally stealing the last hit. In addition, there's the social aspect of the hero. When you pick Io, you are really relying on another random Dota player being a functioning human being, and if he turns out to be either a colossal dickhead or a drooling moron, tough shit. You can't unpick Io, and if you're going to play this hero, there's going to be times you really wish you could. You're marrying a stranger on a blind date instead of joining the usual fucked up polycule of a normal ranked match. Till death do you part, and even then, only temporarily. Basically, if you think of Io in the context of Dota, yes, he is hard, but if you think of him as a character in any random video game, he's actually pretty easy. Sadly, he is both of those things, so that sentence is ultimately meaningless. Just like all of those solo queue Io warriors I glaze, I too can only do my best. Now let's talk about what this guy actually freaking does. Io is the best healer in the game, full stop. There are other heroes that bring utility to the table, like Dazzle and Oracle and such, but they kneel before Wisp when it comes to bringing a hero from low health all the way to full in the blink of an eye. The vast majority of healing in Dota is done over time, and Io has that, but his burst healing is absolutely unmatched. When you're tethered to a target, you grant them up to 120% of your own healing on top of any other healing that is affecting them. If you're in lane and you both pop tangos at the same time, that shit might as well be a salve. Pop arcane boots, and now it looks like you're both fresh out of the fountain. This is already great on its own, but remember that a lot of the healing items in Dota are AoE. When you pop a mechanism, it's affecting both of you, so your tether target is getting 2.2 times more mech per mech. Guardian Greaves is the same, and that's before Holy Locket. Other AoE heals like Voodoo Restoration and Healing Ward will shoot their HP to the moon, not to mention keeping you alive in the process. Then you have Overcharge, which heals both of you for 0.8% plus multiplication from the tether, and this hero still has 3 strength gain as a souvenir from a better time. Lastly, Relocate means that with just a few seconds of heads up, you can take this healing literally anywhere on the map. You can just pop up on your carry as he's getting ganked and vomit 2k HP into his mouth like a mama bird. It's like Dawnbreaker ult, but instead of dealing damage, you have 5 times the heal. Is that always better? Not necessarily, but unlike a bad Dawnbreaker ulti, there's always going to be a chance that both of you actually get out alive. If you would like to tether me and pop match, I have a Patreon. The lowest tier is $3, and you get to see videos as soon as I'm done editing them, and the higher tiers give access to custom audio recordings and handwritten letters once a month. The link is in the description if you'd like to help me avoid bending the knee to the gambling companies. And if you're already on the Patreon, thank you very much for your continued support. So now that you have a rough understanding of what Io does, and I've gaslit you into thinking he isn't one of the hardest heroes in the game, here's how to play Io. First step starts in the draft, since your hero is always going to be a package deal with another one. Select Io in the first phase, and then just type something like "pick an Io hero" in chat. They should get the message, but in case they start hovering over Medusa, you can have a list of appropriate targets copied onto your clipboard. A bunch of heroes benefit, but I've listed a few of the really good ones on the right. Gyrocopter is the LeBron James of having an IO on his team, and that combo is so good that it's been a staple of the competitive scene for as long as people have been playing Dota for money. The general idea is that you want a core who deals the majority of their damage with right clicks, but benefits from both HP regen and mana. There's quite a few heroes that fit the bill, and if you're lucky, you're going to have multiple of them all in the same game. Drow Ranger, Razor, Juggernaut, all of them are good, even if they're not quite as good as our glorious king, Gyrocopter. Just keep that previous criteria in mind, and don't be afraid to break tether and throw it on a position 4 if they're really low to prevent them from having to go back to base. That's going to be their reward for handling the vision game for you, because even as a pos 5, that's somehow not IO's job. Your job, at least in the lane, is to be a little B-word. You want to be constantly tethered to your core for the entire lane and using your pathetic little right clicks to harass the 3 and 4 as best as you can. The only times you should be breaking tether are either to set up a movement trick by re-establishing it and zooming yourself across the map, or to pull. Hopefully the regen is enough to turn even a rough laning situation into a manageable one, and then you're going to have some decisions to make after the 10-minute mark. Your options are going to boil down to farm, fight, or flee. There are rumors of a 4th F word, but it's yet to be discovered. For farming, you're going to stick close to your core and right-click the creeps they aren't directly hitting in jungle camps to help them farm it faster. If they have AoE farming tricks, you can aggro nearby camps and pull it closer to them to further accelerate their GPM. If you're doing your job properly, their item timings are going to be so good that they won't even be upset about being level 10 at 15 minutes. As for fighting, they can either come to you or you can use Relocate to pop up somewhere else on the map and contribute to a skirmish. In ideal situations, you're not actually putting yourself in any damage. You want to show up, instantly burst whoever's there, and then farm a nearby creep camp or wave. Wait for Relocate to tick out, come back to wherever you were, and just keep on farming. And finally, you can also use Relocate in order to flee, with both yourself and an ally in tow. If you get that sinking feeling that your mid laner is about to get gone on by 4 heroes in a smoke gank, you can teleport near him and use Tether while charging Relocate to get him out of there. You'll pop up in your own fountain with him safe and sound, and then a countdown will begin. Go ahead and prep any final adjustments to your will and testament and get some kisses on the forehead from your paws too, because you're about to die. I have never, in my entire time playing Dota 2, watched a team walk away from a relocating IO. It doesn't matter if the entire enemy team is about to come in, it doesn't matter if the IO kill is worth 250 gold. They will all park their ass there for 12 seconds and wait for you to come back so they can murder you. And in the vast majority of cases, they will be successful, but you do have one out. When you relocate back, if there is an allied unit that is within the furthest extent of tether range, you can precast it on them and you will zoom over to them as soon as possible. Sometimes this works, sometimes it doesn't, but there is one other thing you can do. If you happen to relocate close to a creep camp and you're on low HP, you can deny yourself to neutrals. If you successfully pull this off, you would tip yourself if you could, but you can't, so be sure to ask your teammates to do it for you. Unfortunately, Dota Plus does not have an IO set available for purchase with pretty princess points, but we can always hope they add one in the future. And finally, you have items. Just buy whatever heals. You do need to buy boots on the modern incarnation of IO, and that's a good thing because you're eventually going to get Guardian Greaves anyway. Go Magic Wand, Arcane Boots, Mechanism, Holy Locket, Guardian Greaves. That path is pretty much set in stone, but after that, you can get a little bit creative. Glimmer Cape is nice if you're against a magic heavy lineup, Vlad's is good for a death ball, and then Heart of Tarask is really funny, because the percentage based HP will get multiplied by tether and help your target out. It also makes you a slightly less appetizing target, but you will get gone on anyway. Io is a hero that you have to approach with a sense of both camaraderie and humor. If you only have the former, you may be more interested in Omni Knight or Oracle. And if the latter is more your speed, be sure to pick Pause 5 Pudge in my ranked games and sit in the trees the entire time. I wrote a little bit about percentage-based effects in Dota. Feel free to read it if you like. Now, if you're tired of losing to IO, or you're one of those guys who gets irrationally upset whenever a video game boss starts healing itself, even though you do that all the time, here's how to beat him. First off, he has the frailest, bitch's body in the entirety of Dota. Outside of Tether, which is incredibly unwieldy to use in a defensive capacity and has a considerable cooldown, he doesn't have any way of protecting himself. If you're able to jump on him by pretty much any initiator in the entire game, that IO is going to panic because he is in extreme trouble, and if he dies, how the hell is his carry going to survive all on his own? If you have the opportunity to blow an ultimate or two in order to kill him at the start of the fight, you definitely should, because if you don't, there's always a chance he can do some sick relocate play and lay down his body for Jerusalem. Now, as a hero entirely dedicated to healing, it makes sense to buy anti-heal against IO, but you have to use it a little bit differently. The anti-heal application should not be applied to IO, but instead to the hero that he is tethered to. Because all of his healing is multiplied before it's added onto the tether target, throwing the spirit vessel on the gyrocopter is going to have a way bigger impact than throwing it on him. Shiva's Guard is ideal because the aura will reduce both of their regen at the same time, but if you're the kind of hero who buys a Scotty, then buy a Scotty. In addition, Io himself is really not that big of a threat, and instead of countering him, you might be better off just countering whichever carry he's attached to. The methods you'll use to do that are going to vary wildly, but I believe in you. Now, Io is almost universally picked in the first phase, which means you're going to have plenty of time to think of counter picks if you need to. Underlord is a good choice because he can plop down the pit to hopefully keep them both in place and can counter relocate with his own global mobility tool. Monkey King can make movement difficult and is really good at prepping for Io's return, disabling the ability to use Tether by timing Boundless Strike. Magnus can reposition Io into the enemy team and pop him before the fight even begins, and plus, he's pretty much guaranteed to have at least a 2-man RP thanks to Tether range. Ancient Apparition is always the ultimate anti-heal hero, and since his ultimate can affect multiple units, he can shut down whatever cheese combo they tried to pick. But it should come as no surprise that my personal favorite counter to Io is Troll Warlord. Man-fighting the Io tether target is usually quite difficult, but thanks to Troll Warlord's Aghanim Shard, it becomes hilarious. As you're laying into the Morphling or whatever, the offshoot attacks from your shard are going to kill the Io without you having to lift a finger. It's very funny, and if he tipped you after getting a sick relocate save earlier in the game, you can go ahead and use that opportunity to return the favor. In conclusion, Io is a cooperative hero, and you should absolutely play him. I have a friend who multi-boxes Discord so he can be in call with the boys and his digital girlfriend of the week at the same time. One time he mixed up his mute buttons and called us princess. He could have gotten away with it by just saying he was laning with an Io. Peace on planet Earth.